We start with two detectives rushing to a kidnapping in progress. They just hear that the kidnappers are heavily enhanced with advanced weapons and even armor. As they approach the scene, we learn the hostages are the mayor of Metropolis and his wife. The entire police force is trying to stop the robbers, but their tech and weapons are too powerful. As one detective is about to get shot, Superman comes to the rescue. With ease, Superman knocks down every bad guy and saves the mayor. Once all the criminals are handcuffed and taken care of, Superman calls for the aid of the Justice League. The Flash arrives instantly, followed by Cyborg. They are both impressed by the amount of destruction a couple of criminals have done. Superman explains they were not just common foes, that they were enhanced by a mother box, and he wants to know how they got one artifact of such power. Cyborg then scans the scene looking for clues and finds out that the armor was from Apocalypse, most likely from the war the League had with Darkseid previously. Cyborg then runs off to give the remaining armor to his father, since he knows the most about that kind of technology. Superman heads to Star Labs since he had an appointment with Lois Lane. He wants to show the world where he comes from, so he enlisted the help of Lois so she can write some articles about his origin. Superman lets Lois access the ship that brought him to Earth and find out about his family's history. While a lot of the data is encrypted and only a Kryptonian can access it, Lois got enough to show the world who Superman really is. They then fly back to the Daily Planet, the building where they both work, but Superman quickly changes back to his human persona, Clark Kent. There they argue about whether Lois could meet Clark's parents. After some struggles, they agree they could arrange a meeting since it's about time they advance their relationship. Back at Star Labs, Cyborg and Superman examine the pieces of metal left from the battle with the criminals. Upon closer inspection, Cyborg's dad and his associates successfully track down what could have produced such a weapon, Lex Corp. Superman flies up to see Lex Luthor on house arrest for some of his previous crimes. Luthor claims to have nothing to do with the weapons, but Clark doesn't believe him. Lois kept investigating Superman's origin but had to leave it for another time, as the gossip of her relationship with Clark was spreading in the office. Lois and her coworker mock her for being with Clark, but she doesn't mind, as she is sure about her choice. All of them see him differently and distant, and this makes Lois doubt if she really wants to keep going with their relationship. We then jump into space, where we see a bunch of astronauts fixing their spaceship as they are about to go back to Earth. That's when out of nowhere a mysterious portal opens, and from it, a huge meteor makes its way to Earth too. On Earth, Lex Corp, we see Lex Luthor using a disguise to escape his imprisonment and start working on some new tech. Luthor henchmen point out the asteroid we previously saw coming. Unfortunately, the asteroid was too quickly, and the astronauts were hit by it. Once in the Earth's atmosphere, the asteroid dissolves and a strange figure looks to be trapped inside. The asteroid then crashes somewhere in the ocean and Luthor blackmails some Star Labs workers to deliver the location of it. Once done, Luthor starts the operation of recovering the asteroid at whatever cost. In Metropolis, Superman and Wonder Woman are fighting some supervillains while discussing whether to use their actual names in battle. Once the battle is over, it is revealed to us it was all actually a training simulation and that they were both coming late to a Justice League meeting. In the ocean, Luthor pushes his diver to the limit of their capacity in order to find the meteor. Before they can dive any deeper, they come across Atlanteans that don't allow them to move any further. While they wait for the attack of the Atlanteans, something starts to growl and breathe heavily in the deep caves of the water. They both investigate. The Atlanteans go first, only to get grabbed on from the shadows and get their heads exploited in a bang of blood. One diver tries to get close to inspect what could have done such a thing, only to get also grabbed by the mysterious figure and torn apart limb from limb. The mysterious figure then leaves. While the rest of the crew were terrified about what that thing could be, Luthor was impressed and wants to find it again, in order to use it against Superman. On the other side of the Earth, the Justice League had a meeting discussing the same accident. While they are unaware of the consequences that it had, they don't suspect any threat from the meteor. Flash then tells everyone that he is getting married and Superman confesses he would like to have that kind of engagement someday too. But he is far too worried about bringing any danger to Lois by getting her into his world. Since he didn't tell her about his secret identity yet, the rest of the League thinks it's about time to do it. Back in Clark's place, Lois finally met Clark's parents but felt strange as she noticed he hides a lot of things about his past. Once they go out, Lois confronts Clark, but he doesn't feel comfortable opening up yet. Lois then leaves him wondering if their relationship could prosper with all of those secrets she feels Clark keeps from her. He then wonders with his mother if it would be better to just let her know. The lies and the secrets just feel unnecessary after all they went through. While all that Clark wants is to protect Lois, he also learns that he should at least be able to have the choice of loving normally with a normal wife. In the ocean, Aquaman inspects the scene of the murders of his people and the divers from Luthor. Using his powers to talk and understand fish, he learned about the attack and even found the footsteps of the killer. He follows them to an island close by. In the distance, some campers are being attacked by an enormous bear that smelled their food. The mysterious figure then appears and eliminates the bear. The campers think that they are saved, that he is some sort of hero, but then quickly realize what he really is as he attacks them and eliminates them both. In Metropolis, Lois once again tries to escape from her coworker that wants all the gossip about her night with the Kents. Lois avoids her as much as she can, but finally gives up and tells her it didn't quite go as planned and that she regrets going out with him. Just as she is about to end the sentence, Clark appears and asks her if they could talk at lunch. Lois accepts, but with a deep fear that something is wrong and their relationship is ruined. Clark then gets a call from Wonder Woman stating that the mysterious monster that attacked all the people before is in Metropolis looking for something, but they don't know what. While Superman originally wants to help, Wonder Woman insists that they have it all under control, and that his relationship with Lois needs a break from all the super trouble he is getting into. In Metropolis, the police are trying their best to keep the monster from hurting innocent civilians. They even destroy a gas station to see if the explosion could do any damage to it. But the monster just flies away once the fire stops. Just as he's about to eliminate another civilian, Hawkman appears just in time before he could lay a finger on that person. Hawkman throws the monster into the air and starts bashing him with his mace. While they fight, the Justice League appears and Flash and Green Lantern save the people of Metropolis. Hawkman then gets beaten down by the monster, so Green Lantern has to put him aside and rescue him. Luckily, Hawkman is still alive, but his vitals are critical. Green Lantern then uses all of his power to slow down the monster, confident that the monster is just a normal level foe. He tried to catch the monster with his ring, but the monster matches the ring's strengths and frees himself to throw Green Lantern away. With a quick leap, the monster then attacks Green Lantern, sucking all of his power and leaving him vulnerable to a critical strike from the monster. Luckily, Flash was nearby and saved Green Lantern before the monster could eliminate him. Flash then leaves him by Hawkman, grabs his mace, and starts using his super speed to catch the monster off guard. The monster quickly realizes the Flash's power and, with a direct hit to the chest, leaving him without the ability to run. As he's about to hit the eliminating blow on the Flash, Batman blows the head of the monster with some bomb, leaving his head vulnerable for a second. Back at LexCorp, Lex Luthor is reviewing some shady experiments he did with some scientists. Lex's plan is to figure out a way to use Superman's DNA to clone him and get an army of him. So far the experiments did not work out as the subject did not endure enough, but Lex is confident that the thing from the meteor could help them out in that. With the monster's head now visible, we can see his red angry eyes staring at Batman. Batman tries his best to only dodge the monster attacks, to win time for the civilians, and to get help from the rest of the League. On the other side of town, Lois and Clark are having lunch. While Lois thought Clark invited her to break up, he actually opens up to her and tells her he was Superman. At first, Lois laughs and doesn't believe him, but Clark then takes his glasses off, and Lois realizes it is true. Lois questions herself about all of those times Clark showed up at the exact right time and disappeared so often, even refusing to believe that the people she met the other night were his actual parents. Clark quickly explains that they are his parents, but that it's a little more complicated than that. Right as he is about to tell Lois his last secret, she gets a call from Jimmy Olsen. He is in a helicopter going to the fight between the Justice League and the monster. Clark hears this and in an instant jumps to the back alley of the place and flies away to help his friends. Lois then reads the note that Clark left with his last secret and it turns out it said "I love you." The rest of the League arrive at the fight with the monster. Aquaman, Cyborg, and even Martian Manhunter are holding back the monster, but their efforts are useless as it is incredibly strong. From the side, Batman is analyzing the monster to find a weakness. Martian Manhunter reads his mind, but there's nothing there, only anger and a thirst for battle and blood. The monster sees Batman as a distraction to make Martian Manhunter to come out. Once he has him, throws him to a nearby gas station, blowing up and catching Manhunter on fire, his one weakness. With all of his foes on the ground, the monster runs to the center of the metropolis. Batman, wounded, can move and stay helping Cyborg repair himself. But Wonder Woman chases the monster. She confronts him and starts fighting. They are matched in strength and velocity, but the monster is just too brutal and pins Wonder Woman to the ground. The monster destroys Wonder Woman's sword and grabs it. As he's about to stab her, Superman appears and blows him up with his heat vision. Superman then starts punching the monster, but he pushes and even copies his heat vision. Superman is impressed the thing even made him bleed for once. Lois is in the helicopter looking at the entire scene. They even name the thing Doomsday as he appears to be defeating anything that comes to him. Lex Luthor sees the whole thing to not only eliminate Superman but also to make himself look like the hero that saves the city. With his last power armor, he plans to eliminate Doomsday. On a bridge south of Metropolis, Superman tries to trap Doomsday with the metal cords of the bridge. This wins him time to help save civilians and even children that were trapped on the bridge. But Doomsday escapes, as he appears to be getting stronger and stronger as Superman challenges. Doomsday claws and spikes start to grow, and look to be more menacing than before. Doomsday throws Superman to the same helicopter that Lois is in. Waking up from unconsciousness, Superman grabs the chopper and tries to lift it. He barely leaves it in a nearby building where Superman can catch a breath for just 1 second and think of a plan. Superman then throws Doomsday into the air, blasting him with heat vision and punching him to the skies. But Doomsday counterattacks and brings Superman to the ground as a meteor from the air. With Superman unconscious, Doomsday tries to attack Lois and Jimmy that were filming the entire battle. Just as he is about to strike, Lex Luthor blasts Doomsday with a huge mech that he pilots. Luthor then pins Doomsday and tries to cut a piece of him for research, but Doomsday wakes up and blasts Luthor back with his empowered heat vision. Doomsday then destroys the mech and grabs Lex and throws him to a pillar nearby. Luckily, Clark is already up and flies just in time to save him. Lex is extremely pissed off by this as he wanted to be the one that saves the city. With all the strength he has left, Superman throws Doomsday through a building and the both of them crash. Superman, now on the ground, gets beaten up by Doomsday, who also uses his cape to choke him. As he is about to eliminate him, the cape breaks and Lois appears to distract Doomsday. She throws a rock and tries to get Doomsday away from Clark. Doomsday slowly approaches Lois. His rage just strengthens him stronger and the spikes and claws he has just keep growing. Now, as a knife, Doomsday is about to stab Lois. That's when Superman wakes up and flies with all of his might to save Lois. He punches Doomsday in the head, making it rotate and successfully eliminating him. But unfortunately, Doomsday stabbed Superman right as he was about to save Lois. Lois runs to catch Clark, but it's too late. The claw of Doomsday went right through him. Lois grabs Clark in her arms and assures him he did it. He eliminated Doomsday. With his last breath, Superman tells Lois about how lucky he was to have met her and loved her. And then Superman passes away. The rest of the League come in shock as they cannot believe their friend passed away. On the TVs all over Metropolis, the image of Superman's cape broken is the only thing they can see. People all over the world can't believe that the greatest hero and defender has sadly passed away. The next day, the mayor of Metropolis says a few words at the funeral of Superman. Nearby, the parents of Superman are both crying about the loss of their son. The rest of the League also attended the funeral. Even Luthor is there and makes a speech about how they were not so different, but the Justice League remembers their relationships. And Wonder Woman doesn't believe a word he is saying. In Star Labs, Luthor is discussing what to do with the remains of Doomsday. He wants it for his research, but the scientist in Star Labs denies his petitions. As they are talking, the ship that brought Superman to Earth floats and disappears into the sky. We then see Lois going after the ship, only to find out that it was going to Clark's grave in the center of the metropolis. There we see that the casket of Superman is empty and in the sky, a strange and dark figure is floating. Lois thinks it's Clark, but before we could see anything, the man just flies away. We then see a glimpse of one subject of the experiments of Luthor escaping his cell, and at last, we see the ship of Superman landing somewhere on the North Pole, merging with the diamond on its inside, making the Fortress of Solitude. The same figure that was in the city is floating in front of it. The last thing we see is a robotic version of Superman flying out into space.